Why have a perfectly moist lemon supreme cake when you can have unpleasantly dry cookies that taste like chocolate with a hint of lemon instead? This box of cake mix expired 6 months ago and I don't feel like making a whole cake right now. I thought it would be fun to try to alter the proportions of ingredients to turn this cake mix into cookie mix. Looking at the directions, I'll want to cut out the water entirely. I'll use 1 egg because 3 seems like too many. Then I will double the fat with shortening instead of oil so I can whip some bubbles into it. I'm weighing out what a half cup would weigh because trying to cram shortening into a measuring cup is a pain. Since this is an experiment, I'm going to use the amount of fat listed in the instructions, but I'll only use half the mix. This doesn't look like it's doing what it's supposed to, so I'm adding in a small amount of extra sugar so the crystals can cut through the fat as I whip it and create air bubbles. I question how well that is working and I add in the single egg, and that seems to get a good foam going. With any sort of chemical leavening, you need tiny air bubbles to already be present. It will not create them on its own. I'm doubling the fat because when you make a cake from scratch, you typically use equal parts fat and sugar, give or take. Cookies typically have twice the amount of fat as sugar, so doubling the fat should push it in the direction that I want. Okay, looks like it is whipped up pretty good. Now I should be able to add the cake mix in. If I didn't have a scale, I'd just eyeball it, but since I do, I'll weigh out half the box, which is 216 grams. Then I will mix it on the lowest speed until it just comes together. I thought it looked like it was going to turn out really dry, but it ends up turning into kind of a paste. I'm a little surprised, but also not. Looking at the label, there's 36 grams of total carbs and 18 grams of sugar. So that pretty much means that there is 18 grams of flour and other starches per serving. That's a 1-to-1 ratio of sugar to flour, which isn't surprising for a cake mix. Cookies typically have a 3-to-1 ratio of flour to sugar. So let's see what happens when I double the amount of flour. I'm adding 90 grams of flour because I already know that there are 18 grams per serving. The box is 10 servings, so half of that is 5. 5 times 18 is 90. So by adding 90 grams, I'm doubling the amount of flour. I bet poppy seeds would be really good in here, but I don't have any. Same thing as last time with the mixing, lowest speed until it comes together. That looks a lot closer, but I don't think it's quite there. I'm adding another 90 grams of flour to get to the 3-to-1 ratio. What I really should be doing is adding a little bit at a time and going by feel rather than blindly adhering to a theoretical ratio of ingredients that doesn't fit every scenario. If you are inclined to try this, I would add enough flour to make the dough feel wet but not sticky. What I end up with looks like it shouldn't work, but it does after I force it into an ice cream scoop. They are very crumbly but still hold together, and I'm even able to squish them down a little bit. Wow, those look sad. I'll put these 4 into a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 12 minutes and see how it goes. They look a lot better now that I remembered to turn on the white balance settings that I typically use for my cooking videos. You may notice that they puffed up a little bit, suggesting that the leavening was able to do its job. They have a nice golden coloring on the bottom. I'll try 4 more, but I won't squish them down because that's kind of annoying. I don't know how to tell visually whether these are done, so I'm using the meat thermometer. Anywhere above 170 degrees Fahrenheit would be good, and this is that. Looks good enough to me. Let's bake the rest of these. I can't say this experiment was a total failure. Cracking them open confirms that they do have a nice airy internal structure, and I would say that they got as much lift as I would want. I think my biggest mistake was blindly adding all that flour at the end. The extra flour seems to dilute the lemon flavor. It's still there, but it's not as much as you would want in a lemon cookie. I imagine there's a right way to make lemon cookies out of a cake mix, but this isn't quite it. Now, where I could see this working would be if you wanted to make a lemon-flavored bottom layer of one of those layer desserts where you'd want it to be a little dry and crumbly. You'd do something like lemon crust, vanilla pudding, coconut, and whipped cream, for example. If nothing else, this was a good learning experience, and now I can put these away and forget about them like I did with the box of cake mix that I used to make them.